Well, good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing today? I'm out here in California for the moment. We've got some beautiful blue skies, although it is freaking cold. Alright, well, this article here comes from Counterpunch. Tells the facts, names the names. Came out on January 11th. Dishonest and disgraceful Monsanto attempts to gain backdoor entry for GE Foods. At the recent Codex meeting in Berlin, there was an attempt to define genetically engineered food ingredients as biofortified. Yeah, right. And therefore mislead consumers. This contravened the original Codex mandate for defining biofortification. That definition is based on improving the nutritional quality of food crops through conventional plant breeding, not genetic engineering, with the aim of making the nutrients bioavailable after digestion. The attempt was thwarted thanks to various interventions, not least by the National Health Federation, the NHF, a prominent Health Freedom International non-governmental organization, and the only Health Freedom INGO represented at Codex. But the battle is far from over. The Codex Alimentarius Commission Codex Committee, that's a mouthful. Oh, I'm not done yet. On Nutrition and Foods for Special Dietary Uses, the CCNFSDU, convened in Berlin during early December and drafts provisions on nutritional aspects for all foods. It also develops international guidelines and standards for foods with special dietary uses that will be used to facilitate standardized world trade. Based upon previous meetings, the initial intention of the committee was to craft a definition for biofortification that could then be used uniformly around the world. Biofortification originally referred to increasing certain vitamin and mineral content on basic food groups by way of crossbreeding, not genetic engineering. For example, by increasing the vitamin or iron content in sweet potatoes so that the malnourished populations would receive better nutrition. However, according to the president of NHF, Scott Tips, Monsanto wants to redefine the definition to include GE biofortified foods, and it has seemingly influenced Codex delegates in that direction. Tips says, I am sure that Monsanto would be thrilled to be able to market its synthetic products under a name that began with the word bio. This year's CCNFSDU meeting witnessed a lively debate about biofortification. At the 2016 meeting, Chairwoman Pia Noble, married to a former Bayer executive, had opined that the definition should be as broad as possible and that recombinant technology should be included. By the 2017 meeting, the proposed definition had morphed to include GE Foods. Whoa, that's deceptive. Deceptive marketing par excellence. The EU has raised a valid objection that biofortification would cause confusion in many European countries due to the widespread use of the word bio being synonymous with organic. Countries within the EU have been very vocal and support this position, arguing that the definition needs to be restrictive, not broad. Including GE foods within any definition of biofortification risks consumer confusion as to whether they are purchasing organic products or something else entirely. Monsanto seeks to cash in on the organic market with the loaded word bio, argues Scott Tips. At the Codex meeting in Berlin, Tips addressed the 300 delegates in the room. Although NHF was an early supporter of biofortification, we have since come to see that the concept is in the process of being hijacked and converted from something good into something bad, explained Tips. He added that if Codex is to allow any method of production and any source to be part of the biofortification definition, it would be engaging in marketing deception of the worst sort. As Stephen Drucker has shown in his book, Altered Genes, Twisted Truth, GE foods should not even be on the commercial market, given the deceptions and bypassing of procedures that put them there in the first place. But now they are on the market. Most consumers want GE foods labeled. Alright. You know, I've seen some labels on some foods. And let me show you what to look for. Okay, I've actually seen it on packages. Okay, here's one. Okay, this is what I've seen on labels. Partially produced with genetic engineering. And I've also seen it on labels where it doesn't even say partially. It just says produced. So, things are being labeled. They're just labeled small and you have to look for them. Okay, and here's another one. Your Mars. Partially produced with genetic engineering. And here's another one. Example of GMO label. Right up here. So when you guys are going out shopping, I mean, this is on Campbell's too. You are going to be hella surprised. Because you're going to start seeing this everywhere. So, they are labeling. Alright, they are labeling. So I'm going to backtrack now. But now that they are on the market, most consumers want GE foods labeled. And, well, surprisingly enough, they are being labeled. Not all of them, but in the United States alone, some 90% of consumers, only 90%, want labeling. What about the other 10%? They don't care? The definition being proposed seeks to disguise GE foods under the term biofortification. That's dishonest, it's disgraceful, and for all those sincerely concerned with the credibility and transparency of Codex, you should absolutely and positively oppose this definition, says Tips. The NHF that feels that this is simply a strategy to gain a backdoor entry into countries for GE foods that are unneeded and unwanted. Wow. These guys are so diabolical. Oh my God. But yet Trump, you know, the guy draining the swamp, what's he doing about this? Nothing. And that's what he intends on doing about it. Nothing. Okay, so, where was I? The NHF feels that this is simply a strategy to gain a backdoor entry into countries for GE foods that are unneeded and unwanted. In his address to the assembled delegates, Tips added, it is a very sad state of affairs where we have come to the point where we must manipulate our natural foods to provide better nutrition, all because we have engaged in very poor agricultural practices that have seen a 50% decline in the vitamins and minerals in our foods over the last 50 years. That's right around the time Monsanto was born. About 50 years ago. They've been around a while. We will not remedy poor nutrition by engaging in deceptive marketing practices and sleight of hand with this definition. The delegates to various Codex committees tend to be national regulatory bureaucrats and representatives from large corporations, including agri-tech giants like Monsanto. Monsanto. Yuck. I'll tell you, you know what? Those labels I just showed you, I was eating some, I don't know, chips or something. And after I got done eating, a little small individual bag of chips, I really didn't feel very good. I felt like I was poisoned or something. So I looked at the back, where the nutritional value is, and at the bottom I saw produced by genetic engineering. That explained to me why I felt like shit after I ate those chips. Anyways, I digressed once again. Okay. These interests have undue influence within Codex. Over the years, although heavily outnumbered at meetings, Scott Tips and his colleagues at the NHF have been tireless in their efforts to roll back undue corporate influence at Codex. Okay. Thanks to the NHF and others urging the committee to adopt a clear, non-misleading definition that excluded GE foods, no final decision was taken on the definition of biofortification. It's now left to the committee to resolve the matter at next year's meeting, or even the one thereafter. Alright. So I'm going to go over to this other article so you can see President Trump's perspective on Monsanto. The truth about vaccines. Okay, well, we already know that. Here it is. This came out April 27th, 2017. Breaking news. President Trump pushes GMOs in new executive order. So, while everybody is thinking that this guy is draining the swamp, while everybody is being distracted by QAnon, and I'm going to tell you, as soon as I find the smoking gun, which I'm looking and I'm waiting and I'm just waiting for it to show up, I know in my heart that QAnon, now I don't know if QAnon's AI, a person, military, people, woman, a dog, a cat, a pet rat, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But if President Trump really was draining the swamp, and if he really did care about the American people, then he would not push GMOs in an executive order. There's a reason why he did that. Alright? Well, we can skip most of this. Okay, we can skip it all. Let me scroll down. Okay, the executive orders will create a 180-day review process to identify and eliminate what Trump says are unnecessary regulations. Alright, let me scroll down here even more. I passed it. Oh, here we go. Alright, I had to enlarge the screen so you can see it. Right down here. Combined, Trump and his pick for Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, have received millions from big agribusiness, and now it appears as if they may be set to return the favor. For example, Trump himself received $1 million from Dow Chemical for his inauguration. That's right. Alright? He did receive that. And now the company is urging him to exert pressure on, or tell the EPA, to set aside reviews of harmful toxic pesticides that could damage the company's bottom line. So, you tell me. This isn't telling me that Trump's for the American people. This tells me that Trump is just another puppet president. Alright? Which is why I'm not following QAnon. Because QAnon really is distracting people. I mean, come on. He writes in code? He writes in code on an unreputable site? 8chan, 4chan, Reddit? Those have got to be the worst sites on the internet. Personal opinion only. So, as soon as we see the chemtrails stop, the chem bombs, the bombogenesis, and Monsanto, those have to all be stopped. And if this president does not stop the geoengineering modification programs, the Monsanto crappy shit pretend Frankenfoods, if Trump doesn't stop those two things, then that should tell you something. Because that tells me something. Alright? What he's doing now is all for show. What makes a movie great? Good actors. Alright, Trump. Thanks a lot. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Trump seems to be very deceptive, and while everybody is looking at QAnon's post, trying to decipher that, they're missing out on articles like this, and, like this. They're not looking for articles like this because they're too busy trying to figure out what QAnon is writing in code. Jeepers creepers. Anyway. So, that's it for now. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until next time, peace.